Whether it's a long way back in Jesus' time or right now in our time, weddings are special occasions. People work very hard preparing for a wedding and often spend a lot of money. There's always a great worry that something might go wrong and spoil the day. There's a wedding in our story today and also a very worried man. I think you'll agree that it turns out to be a meal to remember. So let's open the book at the story called The Wedding Feast. It's a wonderful day, a wedding day, and the whole village of Cana had been invited to the wedding feast, a huge party that was going to last all week. Everyone had come to celebrate with the bride and groom and their families. Everyone had come to dance, to sing songs, to eat and to drink their heart's content. Jesus and his friends and his mother Mary were among the guests, and they joined in with the laughing and the dancing, the singing and the feasting, and everyone was happy as the party went on and on. Well, almost everyone. The bridegroom's father was sitting in a corner talking to himself. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Jesus' mother noticed him and walked over to where he sat. What's the matter? She asked. The worried man replied, Look and see, everyone is enjoying themselves. My son, his beautiful bride, all our guests, the whole village. But we've run out of wine and I don't know what to do. There's no more. It's all been drunk. All that's left is what's in the jugs on the table, and when that runs out, the party will stop. And it's all my fault. Everyone will know how poor we are. Everyone will know we couldn't afford to buy more wine and hold such a big party. My son, his bride, our family, we will be so embarrassed. Try not to worry, said Mary. I'll see what I can do. She walked back and sat down next to Jesus. Son, she whispered, nudging him in the ribs, they've run out of wine. My dear mother, he said, I don't think that's anything to do with me. My time hasn't come yet. Mary gave him a look and smiled, then she turned to the waiting servants. Do whatever he tells you, she said. Jesus stood up and said to them, You see these jars? The servants looked and saw the 6 huge stone jars which were normally used to hold water for washing. Fill these up with water, Jesus told them. So they filled them up with water, right to the brim, lots and lots of water, about 700 litres. Now, said Jesus, draw out some of the water from the jars and take it to the master of the feast. And he sat back down again and let them get on with it. The servants looked at one another. Had Jesus gone mad? Why would the master of the feast want to taste water? But then they remembered Mary's words, do whatever he tells you. So they did exactly what Jesus had said. When the master of the feast tasted the water, he gave a great big grin. I've no idea where this has come from, but it's wonderful, he said. In fact, I don't think I've tasted better wine in my whole life. The servants looked at each other. Wine? Did he say wine? Well, we filled those jars with water, they murmured to each other. The master of the feast was so amazed that he called the bridegroom's father over to him and said, Listen, I know you and your family have paid for this party, but this is unheard of. Usually people bring the best wine out first, and then when everyone's a little tipsy, they produce the cheap stuff. But you've saved the very best wine until now, and there are litres of it. The bridegroom's father looked over at Mary and Jesus and smiled a thank you smile. Thanks to Jesus, there was no way the wine would run out. The wedding party would go on. It really was a wonderful day.
This story is an important one because it tells us about the very first miracle that Jesus did. Until this moment, Jesus had been working as an ordinary carpenter, just like Joseph. But Mary never forgot that Jesus was also God's son. Perhaps she thought it was time for Jesus to start his special work. Mary couldn't help the bridegroom's father, but she knew that Jesus could, and that's why she asked him. Sometimes we need to ask for help. Who should we ask to help us? Close your eyes and think about the people who can help you when you don't know what to do next. Now, I'm going to say a prayer, and if you want to make it your prayer, say Amen at the end after me. Dear God, this story reminds us that Jesus helped with everyday things, even something like wine for a wedding. Help us to remember that you can help us with everyday things too, if we ask your help. Amen.